are a couple of sign-in sheets. I'd really appreciate it if you could sign in, just providing some contact information. And I would also love it if everyone could please write this down, my email address. This is an excellent way to get in touch with me. I will emphasize that a little bit later. But colson@sandy.net. I'm very accessible via email. Talk about that a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit about myself, a little bit about the class, my expectations for the kids, where we're going to go, discipline, that kind of thing's not a major concern in this class, I'll be honest. But, all right. I'm Mr. Olson. I'm originally from Washington, D.C. I went to college in New Orleans, Louisiana at Tulane University, and I was a business guy. So not necessarily a math person, but math-related stuff. I did finance. I got a master's degree in accounting. I went and worked in finance in New York City at an investment bank for a couple of years, and then decided I love living in New York. And so I came out to San Diego, which is a little bit closer to New Orleans in terms of speed of lifestyle. And it was a good fit for me, but I still didn't absolutely love finance, so I went back to school, got a credential to teach math, and I could not be happier that I did it. I landed at Patrick Henry a year and a half ago, so this is my second full year here, and I love it. I love teaching here, I love this school. I'm extremely happy to have landed here, and I'm really excited for another year here. I'm very excited for this class as well, which I'll go into. All right, our book. CME Integrated Math 1. For anyone who is not sure what integrated math means, it is essentially Algebra 1 with some geometry mixed in at the end. Integrated is a little bit of a misnomer because they are not exactly integrated together all the time, although I will strive to bridge those connections and mix them as much as I can, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. All right, one of the big points of emphasis is the Common Core standards for math practice. I'm going to talk about Common Core, the things I like about it, which are these, and the things that I maybe don't like about it as much. In fact, well, I'll talk about these a little bit more on the next slide. All right, come on in. I try and mix up my approach to teaching, as I think that most of the teachers here probably do. So there will be times when I'm up here talking and explaining the concept. There will be other times when kids are up here teaching concepts and I am sitting down trying to learn as well. I think if you do the same thing every day, it gets very boring, it gets monotonous, and so I try my best to mix it up. All right, the things that I like about Common Core are these standards for mathematical practice, and that is because these are common sense ways to make sense of math. So things like making sense of problems and persevere in solving them. Take a look at something, break it down, and figure out how you would approach it. This makes sense, it's logical, and I think that it's important for kids to do. Reason abstractly and quantitatively. Again, this is kind of straightforward stuff in a way. I mean, these are the things that you want to do when you're looking at math problems. Construct viable arguments, critique the reasoning of others. This is important. It's going to be a major point of emphasis throughout the year. I want kids to have discussions with one another. I want them to explain not the steps they did to solve something, but the reasons that they did the steps and why they work. And if they disagree, then to talk about why and to come to a consensus. There are 27 kids in this class, and honestly that's not that many, but it's still a 27-to-1 ratio. I love having all of these tables because that lets students work with one another and teach one another. So I'm very happy I had desks last year. These tables help everyone work together. All right, the last one that I really like to emphasize here is look for and make use of structure. There are tons and tons of patterns in algebra, and if you recognize them, it is going to save a ton of time when you are trying to do work. So we are going to make a big habit out of looking for patterns in math. Now, here's an example of where I think Common Core goes just a step too far. I saw this online. 5 times 3 equals 5 plus 5 plus 5. No, wrong. Incorrect. Why is that wrong? If your answer is, I have no idea, I'm with you. Now, the answer in theory is that, well, this isn't 3 groups of 5. This is 5 groups of 3, so it really should be 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. I guess that's technically true, but I feel like this is losing sight of the forest through the trees. I don't want the solution to get lost in the process. So when you try to get Common Core to this extent where it's like, no, that's not useful, right? No, I'm not going to do that. 5 times 3 is 15, regardless of whether you say 3 5 times or 5 3 times. If you can explain that, that's great, but I'm not going to sit there and penalize you for what I think is just minutia that shouldn't really be emphasized. All right, typical class for me. I'll check homework for completeness, and I will review it as kids request it. Now, eventually, I will have a website up. I'm going to give you that web address, but the web address is not really useful right now because it doesn't mean, it will say Mr. Olson's math class, but it's not this class. I'm going to make it happen, I promise. It's 2016, I need to have a website, I get it. But I'm not there right now, and that's why I'm giving you my email address. I'm very, very accessible via email. All right. In the meantime, I'm going to check homework for completeness. I don't have time to spot check everyone's. If you can spot check it, that's great. If you can't, I understand. I'm busy, you're busy, we're all busy. If students don't understand a problem, they have absolutely got to let me know, because I will never move past something until we get it. This is not a race, and we are going to make sure that we understand everything. So we'll always, if someone needs to see it, that's fine, or if I think that we definitely need to go over it, then we're going to go over homeworks. I assign homework Monday through Thursday. I do not assign homework over the weekend. It doesn't happen. We do warm-ups, whether that's having kids solve a problem or having kids look at a problem that I solved incorrectly and figuring out and explaining why I did it wrong. I'll mix up the warm-ups. It's not going to be the same thing every single day, but they're things that will get you in the mindset of what we're going to do. Typically, I will do some direct instruction to illustrate a concept or present scenarios for students to look into. Students will then work together. Again, love these tables. And after they work together on some practice stuff, there will be a discussion. Discussion is going to be a major point of emphasis. It has not been a huge one so far, but it is going to be more and more and more throughout the year. Lastly, I will give time in class to start the practice problems. You call it homework, that's fine, but you don't have to do it at home. And I would actually like students to do work in the classroom because I'm in the classroom. So if you don't understand something, I'm here to help. At home, it may be tougher. It's really hard to explain some concepts over email, I can tell you that. So I call it homework, but really it's work, it's practice, and I want to at least start and hopefully finish here. All right, I do assessments in 3 different ways. I do lesson quizzes, which happen usually about once a week. I do unit quizzes, which are a little bit bigger. They're every half chapter or so, and I do chapter tests. For the weekly quizzes, you can always retake them as many times as you want. If you do worse the second time, you keep your first score. I'm never going to penalize a student for putting in their time to try taking something again. You can keep on retaking it until you get it. I change it, it's not the same thing, but it's the same, similar concepts. Unit quizzes are the only things that I do not redo. Chapter tests, students can always retake a chapter test once, but we have to go over it before you retake it. Now, there's no threshold. If you got an 85 and you wanted a 100, you can take it again. But again, we have to go over it first. It may not take that long, but that's the student's option. All right, grades. I update grades in PowerSchool. It says no less than every 2 weeks. Realistically, I do it every weekend. I don't do it during the week typically, but every week I will have grades updated. The best way to monitor your students' progress is to get a PowerSchool account and check for yourself. You can email me, I can tell you, but I'd much rather that you had a PowerSchool account that you can just log on to and check. If you're not sure, if you don't have one or you're not sure how, email me. I think I know who can get that set up. I don't know how to do it, but I think I know the person who can, and we'll make it happen. All right, again, here's the website. You can write it down, but I'm telling you, it's kind of not useful yet. I will send home a letter as soon as it is, letting you know that finally I have moved into the present. Site's google.com/site/olsonmath. That is what it will be, and that's what will be on it. In the meantime, there will always, virtually always be, there will always be a week's heads up before a test. Quizzes are on Fridays. I don't really do pop quizzes very often. The first quiz of the year I gave, I didn't give a heads up, but it was a lot of review. That is not my standard practice. Wow, that was a short one. All right, extra help. I'm here every Wednesday from 2:30 to 3:15. I'm also in this room every day at lunch except Wednesday. I don't do phones or headphones. I don't think that's an issue in this class. I'm excited for this class. They're like racehorses ready to run. I really am. If anything, I feel like your students are going to say, this class is kind of boring. I promise we're going to pick it up, we're going to move, and if I feel like we're going too slow, we will do material that is not in that book, because I think that there's a lot of potential in here, and I'm excited for the year. Does anyone have a question for me?